Paula, here we are at the Dubai Marathon, the 23rd edition of the Dubai Marathon. The race was this morning. Fabulous racing, fastest ever debut in the women's race. What's your relationship with the Dubai Marathon?
So my relationship with the Dubai Marathon goes back, oh my goodness, to maybe 2017 perhaps, when I came as an ambassador of the event. May even have been 16. Really just not long retired and came as an ambassador for the event, worked around it, did a little bit of commentating that day, and then the Dubai Marathon team is a great team. The guys are really loyal, and so they've just invited me back pretty much every year since then, bar the pandemic years when everything kind of stopped, and just trying to grow with the event. I love seeing the event grow. I think it's a great coming together of the community out here in Dubai. A lot of expats that will be out here running. A lot of people travel for the event from different parts in this kind of area of the world and even from further afield. And it's been really nice to see that community grow. People run the 4K, then they come back and do the 10K, and then they work their way up.
What do you actually do on race day?
On race day itself, it's always a really early start because of the actual race time. Always starting at 6 a.m. here in Dubai before the sun comes up, so it's a cooler time of the day and the athletes aren't racing in direct sunlight, so it's usually trying to grab something quickly as possible for breakfast, get as awake as possible, and then get down to the start line. In previous years I've had to be at the start as well and then move across to commentary, and more recently now I stay in commentary, so that will involve just a little bit of build up towards the race, and then commentating throughout the race, and then a little bit of wrapping up as well afterwards, and also some meeting with VIPs, some work with the Dubai Tourist Board, and kind of going around and visiting the city and helping to put together different VTs that they will use around and over race weekend.
If you could set up the perfect conditions, the perfect marathon for you, what would be your perfect marathon? Is there in terms of the course and the climate and so on, what would for you would be ideal?
So I think my perfect marathon for myself in terms of conditions, course, I like the course to be interesting. I don't like it to be long, straight roads with not a lot happening. So actually Berlin, I know it's a very fast course, but I didn't find it when I was racing with the elites that kind of motivating of a course. When I did it with the masses, I loved it. Because I was buried in the middle of all of the atmosphere, and that made it so much better. But I do prefer the course to have twists and turns. I like to be able to pick up speed in certain areas, and then I like to have a few little hills thrown in, nothing really massively hilly, but I do like to have those in there. And I actually prefer colder temperatures, but I can handle warm ones, so I don't really mind. It doesn't put me off if it's warmer, but if it's a nice, cool, crisp, blue skies, frosty day, then I always found that I raced well in that kind of conditions.
What was your favourite marathon course? I mean, London, Chicago, New York, maybe one or two others. And what's your best marathon memory?
So first of all, my favourite marathon course, I think probably has to be London, because it's the one that kind of inspired me to get into running in the first place. When I went down, I watched my dad watch Ingrid Christensen set a world record in 1985, and then years later be leading the race and setting a world record myself. I think I've got so many happy and special memories of that. I actually love the New York course as well. I love the New York City course, starting in Staten Island and going through the 5 boroughs. It's almost like you're in 5 different cities with a slightly different atmosphere in each of those. And then I love Central Park. It's one of my favourite places to run. And so to finish in Central Park and to have that long drag up, which always suited me, into the finish as well, is one of the reasons why New York is one of my special memories from courses. And then I think memories within the race that I would have, I mean, obviously a lot of happy memories from all of the London marathons, particularly 2002 in my first one, where the plan was just to sit in the pack, not do anything, kind of really learn about the marathon, not really anything to lose, I guess, was our mindset going into that. And then I went through Cutty Sark, and the crowd was so amazing, the atmosphere was so great. And I came out the other side and had a gap, and it was only 7 miles into the race. And I thought, what am I supposed to do here? My dad had always said, never look behind, and if you've got a gap, just keep going. So I just thought, sod it, keep going. And I just kept imagining in my head everything that Steve Cram and Brendan would have been saying in the commentary box about how I was making all these mistakes and I was getting it all wrong. And I just thought, I can always just say it was my first one.
Do you think Dubai is as close as possible to the perfect course if you just want fast, flat running in front of you? And could it one day see a world record?
I think Dubai is fairly close, yes, to the perfect course. I think it's flat. There are those long straights, but there's not very often much of a wind here in Dubai, so I don't think those really factor in there. I think in terms of actual atmosphere out on the course, for certain athletes, they need that, I think, just to bring them up a little bit, to be able to challenge a world record even when you're in amazing shape. I know for me, I think the days when I set it, if I hadn't had the atmosphere on the course, I'm not sure that I would have been able to run as quickly. I think the London crowd for me was worth, I don't know how much percent, but was certainly worth a substantial percentage increase. And so I think Dubai would need to add that all along the course to actually get a world record, unless somebody is in such phenomenal shape that they just come to it and conditions pretty much perfect. I mean, it gets a little bit warmer, it's humid when the race starts, but it's pretty much perfect for the majority of the race because the sun isn't yet high in the sky. So yeah, I think those conditions are really good, and it's just about making sure that the athlete is psychologically up for the record attempt.